you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, July 19th, 2025, for our Saturday show, where we turn back our broadcast time to 10 p.m. United Kingdom time to go ahead and talk about the phenomena in Disclosure Tonight fashion for our friends across the pond, for that matter. We've got some great stories to talk about here, friends, tonight. The leaderboard, the top of the stories tonight, yes, we've got Garry Nolan saying that he's been told to shut up, talking about the NHI and UAP from the White House. And we've got some more quotes, some more information, some deep dives into that, my friends. We're going to have some fun with it. On that note, let's go ahead and welcome in our audience and see who the heck we have out there in the audience. We've got Andy W., Anton Ghost, Carl Joe Garrison is here, along with D7. I see Eliza Teal, Eric Roth, and the Gurus. We've got Idaho Strong, Phantomos Fanto, J-Cat, John Mooner, John Myatt Lockett, Jay Palm, Josephine Farino. We've got Kathy. I see you, Kathy. Thanks for coming in. Caitlin and Kelly Brote and her piercing blue eyes will be here shortly. We also have Martine Unprepared is in the audience, along with Michael Dymock, Mr. Grimlock, Mr. X, and we got Patrick. The Mysterious is back. Well, yes, he is, folks. We've got Sam and Shelley Montgomery, Silent Fallujah, Steve Hines, a Chromosome Cowboy, and of course, Verndu. But where's Yellow Tommy Tanker, also known as Andy? Oh, that's right. He's not in the chat. He's in the back. On that note, let's go ahead and jump into the studio. Boy, oh boy, we got a fun time ahead of us tonight. But I need to go ahead and play this. Mike, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, actually. We had a good show last night. And tonight we're going to be discussing what's currently going on for our international audience. I think it's going to be another great conversation.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot to cover today, don't we, Thomas?
Yeah, our lifeline keeps coming out one drip at a time, giving us fresh things to talk about.
It does. But at least there's something there, and we're going to have a hell of a conversation, I think, today.
Oh, yeah, I think so as well, my friend. So without any further ado, there was a... Oh, what is it? My mind just blanked. Let's get to this here really quick. Oh, where did it go? Yes, we've got a podcast today. Was it Jordan Peterson, Mike?
Yes, Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Yes, Dr. Jordan Peterson. Dr. Garry Nolan was on Dr. Jordan Peterson's video, a new podcast, an hour and a half. It's available for everyone to go ahead and listen to. And if you're a subscriber of his, you can actually go ahead and hear the salacious last 30 minutes, which has not leaked to the general public yet. On that note, let's go ahead, Mike, and let's get into this. We've got about a 5-minute clip we're going to play through, pause, and talk about it. And then we've got a deep dive into this that I've been working on behind the scenes of a bunch of additional things that kind of ties into what Garry is reinforcing here. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. So let me jump into the studio, Mike. Let's jump in here. Let's get the video up and going, and let's play it. And, let's just help the audience a bit. I'm going to turn off the emotes for right now. Where are they at? That one there, so everyone can focus on the video and what we're talking about. Here we go, folks.
To close up here, I think it would be useful for you to let us know, if you would, what the hell you think is going on, and what this has done to you too. This has got to kind of come out of left field, so to speak, in a severe way. And so I imagine it's put a bit of a bump into your life. I mean, maybe one that's mostly interesting, but still, it's to call it strange is to barely scrape the surface. So what do you make of this?
That there's something non-human here, and it's been here for a long time, is my provisional conclusion.
So he's not hedging on this, Mike. He's calling out and saying there is something here.
He is. So So let's play the clip and listen to what he has to say
We will.
more about this.
Absolutely.
And, the question is not that people should ask is not, is there something here? You have to ask the question first, can there something be here? And the short answer is, of course there can, because the universe is 14 billion years old. You could have gotten from one side of the galaxy to the other in our galaxy in Elon Musk's Tesla if it were traveling at 10,000 miles an hour.
That's honest. They don't have to be going warp speed to get to that point. It's just slow and steady wins the race in this point. So I'm just having to pause here, there, and interject because this is coming from someone else's podcast, and maybe throw up the fair use. And let's continue on. Here we go.
But what got on in the first place doesn't mean the same thing as what gets off on the other side. So, yes, the short answer is something can be here. What it is, I'm not 100% sure, and I feel very uncomfortable with the sightings of biological beings, if only because they just look a little too much like us, and I just can't see from a genetics point of view why the human form is so, or even 2 legs and 2 arms is necessarily biologically the most successful shape. So,
well, that could take us into giant spiders, Mike. Getting into it, but it's interesting. But it could be a genetic code that's seeded throughout the entire galaxy, that all life eventually, given enough time, develops into the human form or something similar of, 2 hands, 2 feet, 2 eyes, 2 ears.
Yeah, which is, evolution eventually develops to its highest form.
Right.
So it seems that if this is prevalent form of life, and 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes is something that would adapt overall to different environments. Makes sense, actually.
Absolutely. Andy W., go ahead.
Yeah, you look back in our ancient past on this planet. Some of the reptiles became bipedal. All your Tyrannosaurus rexes and all the predatory ones. The vast majority of them ended up walking on their hind legs. With most of them losing a lot of their arms. What would have been their front legs. So, the reptiles were doing it way before we were.
Yeah.
Okay, they didn't drop their tails. They still had tails, but they were basically bipedal. So, who's to say?
But you've got apes, you've got chimpanzees. There are a lot of things, lemurs. There's a whole bunch of different parts of life. Even the tridactyls potentially are bipedal as well.
Yeah. So, if it's happened once on this planet, potentially already, twice with us, sort of thing, as the main bipedal animal, then I can't see that it wouldn't happen elsewhere.
Now, Gary's going to get into it a little bit, saying that the non-human intelligence has probably been around here longer than humans. So if the non-human intelligence was potentially bipedal, and in that particular form, they could have found life forms that were already on the planet that they could enhance and screw with to make us who we are today. Have we ever thought about that?
A good point, actually. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly. Let's continue on. Here we go.
I think there's something here. I think the data, the evidence of the hypothesis, there's more than enough evidence to say that it's worth investigating. So I would ask my colleagues to just hold their sarcasm for a while, because how do you deny thousands of reports like this? I don't want to sound conspiratorial, but I did get a phone call from somebody representing the White House because I was talking about something that they felt was a little too on the edge. They said, "You need to just shut up, Gary." I'm just telling you. I've briefed Canadian Parliament. I went to your Parliament in Toronto and I briefed all 3 parties on it. The only ones who didn't want to hear anything were the separatists. So interestingly, but no, I spent 2 days there on that.
So was it related to Canada, or maybe, or was it something else? Let's listen a little bit to the end of this, and then we've got some other clips from Garry that we're going to jump into.
And we've briefed the European Parliament as well on it, and they're aware of what some of their own military are talking about. So that I conclude that there's definitely something here. But I think the more interesting conclusion is if something is here, it's likely been here longer than humans have even been civilized. So it really opens the question, and actually it's something that I think Charles Fort actually said, is, Earth is probably somebody else's property.
Well, that's a hell of a place to end.
Mike, that's something that we've talked about for the longest time.
Oh, we have. Very long time.
Truthfully, the United States or any human government in the world has never had true domain over their skies, over their land, or over their ocean. We've been tolerated in many respects. However, the non-human intelligence with crafts that can go 56,000 miles per hour from the upper atmosphere all the way down to 50 feet above the ocean, like in the case of the Tic Tac, or we have craft that are over Malta going 14,000 miles per hour, dive bombing jet fighters in very tight, tactical, dangerous conditions of what they're going through. So they've been around here. They far surpass human capabilities, but they've probably always been here.
That is what the evidence seems to point to. They have been around longer than we have.
Yeah. So, is this the same one? We have an older clip here of Garry Nolan talking about this, coming from the UAP Reporting Center over on X. Let me go ahead and bring this one up, where they go ahead and share with us. Let me zoom this up a little bit so everyone can go ahead and read, including myself. Get into this. Dr. Garry Nolan, quote, "Something non-human is here for a very long time." He also reveals someone tied to the White House. So let's get into this older clip. Told him to quiet down. Let's see what Garry had to say at this point in time. And I think I've actually got notes on this one from someone. This is it here. Now we got the Ishtar News. We've got this one. Let me see which one this one is. If this is it. Come on. Come on, YouTube. Come on, Internet. I've got a gigabit.
Let me guess.
Oh, shit. Let me go ahead and get to someplace else. Let's play this clip and we'll continue on. Here we go, folks.
Like, as you first asked at the top of the hour, psionics. At least the claim of it. The question you asked about, can you enhance? That is part of a discussion in the group, and I won't talk for other people who could talk it better than me. But it was from the very beginning in my mind. Once you localize a function in the caudate putamen that might be involved in the processing of information, if not the actual, let's say, antenna. I don't think the caudate putamen is the antenna. I think it's a processing function, and that the information is somehow, if it's real, impinged across the brain, and then it's coordinated in the caudate putamen, and that's actually what caudate putamen does with senses. It takes all your senses, incorporates them into a structure downstream of executive function that says, this is what I need to do. And then unconscious functions that say, react to that flash of light, or react to that leopard about to leap out of the, out of the bushes at me
on his plate.
In a subconscious way, processes it and says, here are the movements and things that you need to do relative to your emotional and memory state. That's for real. That's what the caudate putamen is involved with in what we call intuition. But as I was thinking about it, it became kind of obvious to me that if you needed to place a coordination of the information that might come as an additional sense or a sense that we don't understand, it was still going to have to go through the same routing system. There's no need to evolve a whole new system if you've already got one in place.
Right. So he's talking about the Claude Punaman, which is they call it the seat of consciousness potentially. But this is someplace, Mike, if you remember, that Garry Nolan has talked about in the past, that individuals who have had up close encounters with a non-human intelligence, potentially communication between them, have a much higher amount of connectivity going in the Claude Punaman than people who haven't. So it shows there's an expanded amount of consciousness for people who have encountered versus people who haven't. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I remember that. He also said that people who had experienced direct contact with NHI, upon examination, the Claude Punaman was also larger. That was how they were.
Well, it wasn't larger. It was the same size, but if you look at it like you've got one piece and another piece around it, the amount of connections that were going between the two structures and the Claude Punaman were greatly increased in those. People are saying, check my audio. What's wrong with my audio?
I hear you just fine back here.
Well, the audience is saying something's wrong here, but okay. We'll figure it out.
I believe it was some back chatter from Mike's microphone.
Oh, yeah, I turned that off before.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll turn it off.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. We're good with all that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's just understanding what he's kind of getting into at this point. Let me go ahead. I've got a different clip here I actually want to bring up. Let me go ahead and get to my notes here. Where is that at? All right. In this first clip that we're talking about, Garry Nolan, let's see now. Let's just bring up this clip here. It's another clip that relates to this, talking about what could potentially be the reason that the White House is actually trying to quiet down Garry for what's going on. So here, let's play this clip. All right, here, I've got this queued. Let's go ahead and play it. Okay, why don't I have audio? Because it's turned off. All right, here we go. Let's play it.
Amnesty is required. I mean, I've said this publicly, so I'll say it again here. I was personally threatened because I knew of a conversation that happened somewhere. And I alluded to it in the most elliptical fashion on a public broadcast. Literally a couple of days later, I get a phone call from a friend saying, XYZ at the White House is really pissed at you, and you should not ever say anything like that again because Title 18 applies. I said, what does that mean? Lethal force is operable. I'm not kidding you.
Oh my God.
Oh, fuck yeah, it is. And this goes into the, we were talking on the show repeatedly about the execution clause in the NDAs that people sign. Right. And he's not talking about the current administration. He's talking about the previous administration, and we've discussed this on the show before as well. During the Biden administration, it was the National Security Council head who was running things, because we know in the last administration as well that the lights are on, but nobody was home. So it was all the subordinates that were controlling things in government. So
Thomas.
Jake
Sorry.
Sullivan.
Sorry, Thomas, kicking in. Everybody's saying you're muted, and I've just checked on the phone, and yeah, you are, mate.
What's going on? Shit, I screwed up again. So let me get back to this again. Sorry, audience. I'm dealing with noise here in the studio, dogs barking, other stuff going on. Looking at it, so we look at this. Who told Gary this information? Obviously, it was someone who told us it was an intelligence asset. More importantly, who specifically was in the White House that picks up the phone and threatens Gary? What executive position has this authority?
The head of the National Security Council, Jake Sullivan.
Right.
And we already know that he was digging behind the scenes, looking into UAP-related material on behalf of the Biden administration. And all of the information at one point was shut down. We covered that as well.
Yeah.
So he's the only one I can imagine that would have the balls to threaten Dr. Garry Nolan.
And I think there's some additional information here talking about who and where. Let's play this clip a little bit more, then we'll get to a little bit. Here we go.
I put down the phone and I honestly, I nearly broke down in tears. And I called a reporter friend of mine to just basically report it to them, to say, this just happened to me. I was just threatened. Because they knew what I was saying. Nobody else would have known what it was what I was alluding to.
Regardless of whether or not it's aliens, if they think you're disclosing their secure information, you might not be safe.
Well, I wasn't supposed to know it because I heard it from a friend who wasn't supposed to tell me in the first place. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, returning though to the Tic Tacs, because I derailed.
Mike, it's amazing that if someone truly has information, right? And they disclose it, that they will come and they will find you and they will shut you down. And I want to apply this to the schmucks like Stephen Greer and all these other fake whistleblowers he's brought out, everything, who talk about all these incidents that happened, right?
Yeah.
And the evidence they saw and what went on, right?
Uh-huh.
And they keep on talking about it.
So let's talk about it. Dr. Stephen Greer, who has made all of these claims publicly over and over and over again for many, many years.
Yeah.
What does it tell you and the audience that he never got a phone call like that threatening to kill him? Because it would mean then all of the information he's put out so far is not true. It's not credible. So they are not going to threaten him.
Bullshit artist.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly the point. So because everything that he said and put out there, they didn't call him up and threaten to kill him, means that it's all bullshit. So that says a lot. But we know Gary is knowledgeable and credible, and if he says something, it's legitimate.
Right.
That's why he got the phone call.
But I don't think it's just because Garry Nolan went and said these things. I honestly think it's because that he was going down a path that is classified, highly top secret, the highest levels, Q clearance, whatever you want to call this out there. He was told this information and he's repeating it. And because of that, they're coming after him, telling him to shut the fuck up.
Right. But that was, what's the time frame of the clip that you're playing now? How long ago was it?
Let's find out. 3 months ago.
3 months ago. Okay. So I have a feeling that was with the previous administration that he was referring, because I don't think when he was talking about this 3 months ago that it happened 3 months ago. I think it happened prior to that, during the previous administration.
Yeah.
But now, when he did the new interview that we're covering with Dr. Jordan Peterson, I have a feeling that he was again, from the current administration, from the White House, told to shut the fuck up about what he's putting out there. I have a feeling they don't want him letting the public know what he knows. So it's still ongoing. So it doesn't matter. We're talking about Democrats, Republicans. It's the same thing. They don't want this information to come out publicly. And he keeps getting warned.
Mike, is it because it's so good, or is it because it's so bad and could potentially unite humanity in a way, like former President Reagan had said in the past, that governments may not like?
Oh, the public may not like it. And everything that Reagan said in that 1985 UN meeting that he was at, that speech, if that was true 40 years ago, it doesn't mean it's any less true today. And he was right about what he said. He pointed out that if there was a threat from an advanced civilization against everybody here on Earth, would we put our differences aside and would we unite together? And when he had a private meeting, and this is during the height of the Cold War, mind you, between the United States and Russia, he had a private meeting with President Mikhail Gorbachev and said, if what I mentioned in that speech was true, would Russia stand with the United States or would we still be fighting each other? And Gorbachev told them, oh, no, Mr. President, we would stand and fight with the United States.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was right. And that means that we potentially have the similar situation going on right now, except that the government, our government, is looking to keep that information away from the public at all costs, even under threat of death.
Oh, what a mess, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty goddamn ugly, actually.
Yeah.
This is something which is why people want to know, why hasn't disclosure come out yet? Why hasn't it moved forward? Well,
why haven't we gotten the answer about the drones, all the different things that have been going on for the longest period of time? Because our government, there's a cover-up, and when there's an opportunity to bring out the truth, everyone keeps on receding back behind the veil of national security, including our existing president.
Yes, but interestingly enough, in the Dr. Jordan Peterson interview that we're covering, Garry Nolan said that he was working, is working with Skywatcher. And during the drone flap we had over New Jersey back in November of last year, he said he was there and they were looking into it. And what they found out is that all of the objects that they detected over New Jersey were prosaic drones. Now, that means it wasn't UAP that we were seeing.
No.
And he also said that these drones seem to have been coming in off the shore.
Right.
But they were able to track it, and they were able to determine that it was not, it wasn't UAP behaving that would break our known physics.
Now, coming to us, Mike, from Fox, Fox 5 New York, a station you're probably familiar with. Let me go ahead and bring up this clip here of where they're covering the timeline of the New Jersey and New York drone sightings.
Okay.
The latest on those mysterious drone sightings in both New Jersey and New York.
That's right. It's a story that just keeps taking new twists and turns without any concrete answers. Fox 5's Kendall Green here now with a closer look at everything that's happened so far.
Too many twists and turns. Good evening, Stephen and Tasha. It's hard to believe it. Just 2 days, we hit the 1 month mark of drone sightings here in our region. If it seems like we've been in the same stance since day one, that's because not much has changed since we've seen the first sighting all the way back in November.
These are all drones in the sky.
The drone spotting drama began nearly a month ago on November 18th when Asbury Park Press reported witnesses began spotting several large drones in New Jersey. November 22nd, the FAA issued the first of a pair of temporary flight restrictions, banning drones over the Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey. November 25th, the FAA issued a similar temporary flight restriction over the Picatinny Arsenal military base in Morris County. The following day, on the 26th, a school spokesperson at the Raritan Valley Community College in New Jersey said a drone spotting prevented a helicopter from picking up a victim injured in a car crash near campus. On December 1st, a Morris County resident spotted 5 drones in her neighborhood near the Boonton Reservoir. On December 3rd, the Morris County Prosecutor's Office reported drone sightings posed, quote, no known threat to public safety. As on the same day, the FBI asked the public to report any information regarding drone sightings along the Raritan River. A week later, on December 10th, Democratic Jersey Senator Cory Booker urged the feds to share more information about drone sightings to calm fears of residents. And a day later, on December 11th, speculation took flight.
Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones.
But they were quickly shot down.
You know, there's the whole thing, Mike, about Iran launching the drones. It never goes away, does it?
No, it was bullshit then and it's bullshit now. Nothing changes. You're right. But they were so desperate for information, they were throwing everything they could out there to see what was.
Well, what it comes down to it is, just like with Eric Burleson and others, sometimes, and even Ross Coulthart for that matter, sometimes your sources aren't the most accurate, are they?
No, they're not.
All right.
But we do know when we were covering this from November 18th of last year for over a month, that the drones were coming in off the water.
Right.
We know that Coast Guard cutter was swarmed by over 30 drones and chased from its patrol area. We have people that we know from the show that were there that were telling us that they see it coming in from the water, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we know the truth, not the rumors.
Yeah. All right, let's watch the rest of this, and then we'll continue on. Here we go.
By the Department of Defense. As Jersey Assembly member Brian Bergen spoke with Fox 5 about his frustration surrounding state lawmakers' lack of intelligence following a closed-door briefing at state police headquarters.
You would expect to learn something substantial.
The following day on the 12th, former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan spotted large drones above his home in Maryland, announcing the next morning he is joining the list of lawmakers demanding answers. And finally, Friday, December 13th, Democrat New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy wrote a letter to President Biden asking for more resources on behalf of the state, saying existing laws limit taking action against unmanned aircraft systems to the federal government. So many questions still remain regarding what officials are going to do about addressing these drone sightings. And the sooner we get some concrete answers, the sooner we'll report them, Stephen.
Yeah, the sooner the better. All right, Kendall, thanks, man.
There we go. And I do have an additional piece here coming in from NBC News at that same time. Let's see if this is going to be it. Hopefully it's a video we can go ahead and play. Let's bring this up. Talking about the drone sightings over Bedminster.
And New Jersey without any answers.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. What's killing me here?
All right, Fox 5.
Turn that off. Let's get this video clip going here next. Coming to us from NBC News, I believe in New Jersey. Here we go.
Reported drone sightings across the Northeast may be coming into clearer focus. Homeland Security says infrared technology is now helping police on the ground identify drones in the air. In New Jersey, the epicenter for most drone sightings for nearly a month, lawmakers continue demanding answers.
I won't let the federal government insult the American people and claim they aren't seeing things that they're seeing with their own two eyes.
Over the weekend, an FBI official said there had been more than 5,000 reported sightings, but only 100 warranted review. The vast majority appear to have been planes, helicopters, and legitimate drone operations, though President-elect Trump today suggested the government or military knows more about the drones than they're saying.
Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people.
We have not identified...
Don't want to tell the people. And Mike, you know what? Still to this day, Trump hasn't told us since he was brought into office.
And he promised us that he would, in fact, release all the information on the drones as soon as he went into the White House. Day one, he said. And now it's over 6 months later, 7 months, and we still haven't gotten a straight answer out of him.
Andy, go ahead. Your hand is up.
Yeah, if it was, we were speculating when it was happening, though, it could have potentially been they were trying to find some, something for a dirty bomb, potentially some nuclear something or other. We're how many months since November? We're 7 or 8 months now. Nothing happened. So I think they could be, if it was genuinely the case that was something that was happening, they could be open and say, yeah, we were. It was us. We were actually trying to find something nefarious. We used drones to do it. Personally, I don't know why they used drones. I'm sure they could have used vans or trucks or something, which would have been, been able to hide. Nobody would bat an eyelid if something was driving down the road. So, yeah, I can't see why they're still keeping this completely under wraps.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, I think it has to do with the two words national security, Andy, unfortunately. Now, to go ahead and back and to reflect on some of the quotes, actually some of the messages people had said before, calling Kirby a weasel. However, go back to 2021, if you can. Look at the UAP hearing, what John Kirby was saying from the Pentagon after the UAP hearing, the information he was giving out. John Kirby does his job. However, the people that he works for, Mike, if I'm correct here, tell him what to say, what not to say, and how to carve the public opinion, right?
And the good admiral is a loyal, patriotic soldier for the government and will follow orders to a T, even if he personally doesn't agree with them.
Yes,
you and
exactly.
I said that about John Kirby before.
While we didn't like what he was saying about the drones, you have to remember about the man, the position he has, and who tells him what he can say and what he can't say. So along that line, he did toed the President Biden's line on this, what he wanted him to say. Was it something we wanted to hear? Not even close. But again, it's like Susan Goff, Mike. We can blame her. We can blame Sean Kirkpatrick. We could blame Tim Phillips. We could blame John Kozlowski, all from RO, with regards to what they're saying. But truthfully, they're just doing their job and following what they've been told to do. Michael Sokoloff, your hand is up.
Yeah, I wonder who told Donald Trump not to say anything, because he was adamant that he was gonna release the files, and then nothing. Who got to Donald?
Well, apparently he got into office and potentially people filled him in on what was truly going on. Mike?
And the truth, yeah, we've repeated this, that it has nothing directly to do with political affiliation to one party or the other. If we have somebody like Donald Trump in the White House and he gets the truth about this and decides to cover it up like they all have before, it has to be something so terrible that the public cannot accept the truth.
Well, it's not just that, Mike. It's so terrible they can never let the public know. But then again, Lou Elizondo says, well, based on what I know everything, the American people can handle the truth. Apparently, those in office don't feel the same way.
Yeah, but Lou also, when he did that somber speech, told everybody when he was asked, well, if everybody knew what you know, how would they react to it? And he said,
somber.
Somber. And he explained why. He said, if everything you thought you knew about where you come from, everything around you since you're a child,
everything about society, everything about religion is a lie, right?
Right. Everything that you thought you knew, that we're the apex predators on the earth, we're top of the food chain, you found out that we're not, how would you react? Somber.
Yeah.
That's a very bold description of what we may be facing.
Yeah.
And he laid it out there.
Several times. So
he
is
did.
Garry Nolan and others in the community who have the know to know. They've brought this up. We're not the top of the food chain. This could be a zoo, or more likely it's a farm, which means we're on the menu.
Right. And something we can't fight back against and have no control over.
Yeah.
People would say, if you ask the average person on the street, if we had to fight an advanced civilization, what would you do? And their answer, the first thing would always be,
pray.
Oh, well, we'll nuke them. Yeah, but what if the nukes that we possess as the most powerful weapon on the planet, what if we weren't able to have control over our own nukes to try to fight back against them?
Or what happens if our own nukes wouldn't have any effect on these entities and would only damage us humans and the planet?
If our nukes weren't capable of causing some problem with the advanced technology, I don't think that they would have shown us in '67 with Bob Salas when they came over Malmstrom and turned off 10 of our nuclear missiles.
Maybe it was maybe that was a lesson, though, not to go ahead and say, we can stop this, you better stop this stuff. It's more of a, you guys need to think about what you're doing because you can destroy yourself. There's a lot of different possibilities of this. Or it's something so bad that non-human intelligence looks at it, it's like, oh my God, what the fuck are you idiot humans doing? We're going to turn this shit off. Learn your lesson.
It wasn't just turned off, though, if you remember, Thomas. They went over to Mother Russia.
Disabled.
And they turned them on. They turned
because
them on.
That's the logic for the people in Russia, what they need to know, what they need to have happen to make them think about it. So they did one thing in the United States because our culture and our military thinks this way, but they did something else over in Mother Russia because it's necessary.
You know, if you remember, there was an old TV show that was popular back in the 60s. It wasn't The Twilight Zone, which was one of them. It was called The Outer Limits. And The Outer Limits had a 10 or 15-second intro. And what it would start with is it changed the picture of your phone, of what you were watching on the TV screen and made it all scrambled.
Yeah.
And then an announcer would say, we have control over your TV for the next hour. You cannot do anything. We are going to be controlling what you see and your devices. Sit back and watch what's about to be shown. I have a feeling that when they turned on and off the nukes, they were letting everyone on the planet know, you have no control over your strongest weapons. We do. It's not a threat to us at all.
But you know what? They didn't stop us from nuking Japan, did they? And they could have.
Nuking ourselves? No. When we could do it back and forth to each other all day long. It doesn't affect them. But if we thought we could use it against them, if need be, well, they wanted to let us know that isn't going to work.
If we can, Mike,
I have a feeling one of the reasons why they wanted to demonstrate that ability is because if, in fact, we were able to use our nukes, we know from the evidence that we've seen publicly from then to now that it does have an impact on their technology. We know
potentially, but could it have, it's been rumored a lot of times that it has, more importantly, impact on their dimension that overlaps with ours, and that's why they started coming and checking us out to saying, what the hell are you guys doing?
Yeah, you're causing too much trouble over here, and you need to make it stop.
Yeah, exactly. If I can, let's get back to this video, finish it off, Mike.
Yeah, let's do it.
Anything anomalous or any national security or public safety risk over the civilian airspace in New Jersey or other states in the Northeast.
Meanwhile, a company specializing in drone radar, Robin Radar, is now working with state police in New Jersey.
How small of a target of a drone can you identify?
Yeah, so we can, everything in radar comes down to how big it is, what's it made of, how fast is it moving.
Because drones fly so low, FAA aviation radar typically doesn't spot them. FBI...
Really quick, they're taking a look and they're showing the FAA radar right there at this point. This is not actual radar. This is a representation of the radar signal that's completely filtered to take out stuff that's going too fast, stuff that's going too slow, and they're just limiting it down to potential air traffic. So if we take a look at this and where they're talking about what the FAA could see, they're talking about the people in the towers seeing the filtered view, not actually a true representation of what's out there in the skies. Correct, Mike?
That's correct, Thomas.
All right. Let's move on.
Doesn't spot them. FBI and FAA officials have said most drone sightings appear to line up with airport takeoff and landing patterns, suggesting the public might be mistaking regular air traffic, even passing satellites for drones.
Oh, no. Mike, we've seen all the different videos. It's not all aircraft. There were a bunch of anomalous objects out there that did not line up with prosaic explanations. Or did I miss something?
No, not at all. This was not something that someone could purchase on Amazon.
No.
Not by any means. It was the size of an SUV. It was highly advanced compared to prosaic drones. This was something that was not normal, that we were being subjected to repeatedly over New Jersey. And you can't describe it as something that was, store-bought drones.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Exactly. Let's continue on.
Drones are legal in daylight and nighttime. The FAA requires they remain under 400 feet. They must stay at least 5 miles from airports.
We're talking about Amazon drones here, stuff you can buy from Amazon. These drones were the size of SUVs.
Right.
Let's
and
continue.
They were flying with very large distances over a long period of time which is something that anybody that is familiar with drones knows. You have 30 minutes of battery operation at the most.
Yeah.
So there's no way it was something you bought from Amazon. Absolutely not.
Exactly.
And especially with the size.
Let's continue on. Here we go.
And restricted areas, be in the line of sight of the drone operator, and the drone operator must have a license for larger drones and any commercial activity. Like other news organizations, NBC News uses drones for our news gathering. According to FAA regulations, we have a white strobe flashing on top. Planes, on the other hand, have white strobes on the wings, a solid red, a solid green light, and then a flashing red. Former FBI counter-drone chief Rob D'Amico.
They're 400 feet below. They have their light.
Or any national security or public safety risk over the civilian airspace in New Jersey or other states in the Northeast.
Meanwhile, a company specializing in drone radar, Robin Radar, is now working with state police.
Why did that just
in
jump
New Jersey.
backward on me? Here we go.
Property.
Counter-drone chief Rob D'Amico.
They're 400 feet below. They have their lights on, and they can see the drone.
Did it again.
Jordy.
Let's try and get to the end here. Looks like their video died. Son of a bitch. Oh, well.
Yep.
Let me see if I can download this really quick. Let me see if I can get around this really quick. Oh, you know what it is? I got a dog on a keyboard. That's what happens when a dog sleeps on a keyboard, Mike.
Oh, I know.
Okay, we're about right here. All right, right at this point. Sorry, folks. Blame it on Moose.
Counter-drone chief Rob D'Amico.
They're 400 feet below. They have their lights on, and they can see the drone. There's nothing illegal about it. Even if it's over your own property, you don't own the airspace.
Most drones have less than 30 minutes of battery life and limited range.
It's hard to deny that there's a lot of rules out there.
But, Mike, you got to remember, they're just talking about how long commercial drones have for airtime. Remember when we had the drone issue going on over the Midwest and West, the Midwest and the upper Midwest? Where we had drones that were up there for hours at a time, potentially even being launched from motherships. I mean, this is back in 2019, 2020, if I remember.
Yeah, it was 2019 in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And those drones were not Amazon commercial.
No, they were huge, about the same size of what was going on the East Coast. And they were out there in swarms, and they were acting like they were looking for something. Now, if that doesn't sound to me like what we had going on in New Jersey, because I talked about that many times, Mike, it looked like they were searching for something, whether that was a nuclear material, biological material, communications from potential terrorists, whatever it was, there was something that these drones are night after night were searching for. But back in 2019, we had that same thing going on with these drones. And if it was something that they were out there searching this farmland, they were looking for something that crashed, something that they couldn't find by satellite or otherwise. And they had to bring out technology. Was it a crashed UFO? Was it something else? It's hard to know.
Right. And the only similarities that I can see between those drones and the ones over New Jersey is people were asking, well, if it's line of sight, why weren't they able to knock these things down? And you and I said the only thing that would make sense would be they're not operating out of line of sight. There isn't an operator that's close by, not with what we covered over New Jersey. These things were flying from one end of the state to the other and going into Pennsylvania. That's not an operator.
And more states. They were all over the place, Mike, into Maryland.
They were everywhere.
Yeah. But, you know, I don't think we actually used any of the available munitions we have when these craft were coming in over the ocean, over spots where they could shoot this stuff down without potentially harming innocent civilians. But here's the thing. If we are truly getting invaded, and this would be something from Russia or China or Iran, it's someone who's declared war. So for us to say, oh my God, we can't shoot these things down, it might damage somebody's house. What about maintaining the sovereignty of our country from foreign invaders?
Right. So these drones, they obviously have advanced technology, and which means they're not operated by radio control. They have to be operated by AI. They're programmed. They're able to actually go on a designated search pattern or operate within a certain range. And if you try to block the signal, it's not going to have any effect, which is what we were seeing over Jersey, if you remember.
Yeah. And I'll still maintain that they were looking for nuclear material. There may have been some other factors in the background potentially, but, you know, the most disturbing was Trump canceling his trip due to the drones. Don't forget who controls the nomenclature and controls the narrative. They were all drones. And we know it, you know, I could say we know as a fact. Laura, I'll get to you in 1 second. Now, something was going on that required numerous FAA, actually the FAA, to shut down airports. Trump canceling his trip to Bedminster. Congress going on a limb and saying the Chinese tech. They even mentioned Iran. And finally, what happened with the Tesla with the Las Vegas bomber and the Cybertruck. It all adds up and points that it just wasn't drones, but, you know, there's a big government cover-up going on here that you just can't miss. Laura, your hand is up.
Thank you, Thomas. I wanted to let you know that Sunday, July 13th, I happened to watch Spaced Out Radio, and the guest was Sir Byron Bowden, and he discussed this exact thing. And people get confused because there were two incidents with nuclear, not that little minor one, but there was another one. And he said, you'll have to watch the show, but he gets into the details about it, and they were looking for something. And he said he didn't want to say the group, but he alerted people that he knows. And within 48 hours, a gentleman was arrested for bringing in materials. So I would say go check out the show because
definitely.
That's what we got as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Gabe Dave a call the other day. He was at his day job, was going to hear back from him, and I haven't. I'll try and chase him down again and see where we can take this.
Yeah, and I'll also just mention that some of those drones can release certain things into the atmosphere and the water that helps them detect things. And some of those drones that go up there that we have can release smaller drones. And on those smaller little drones, there's maybe little square panels that they use the sun to help keep them afloat longer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that info and everything. Now, Mike, I have to go ahead and find the sound effect. Where's it at? There we go. Let me turn off the chat for a little bit so we can go ahead and everybody's attention. And so, Mike, it's a breaking UFOs alert, and you just sent across a DM that has a post coming from Askapol UAPs. Matt Laszlo's at it again, huh?
It really is. He's really doing great reporting. This is a clip that he has as well that we could listen to that's talking about the whistleblowers and what he just found out.
Oh, wait a second. That reminds me, I have to go on a different browser because my audio routing system, how I have it set up. All right, here we go. Coming to us from Askapol UAPs. New exclusive. Whistleblowers report materials they did not know what it was from. Senator Rounds tells Askapol UAP. So it sounds like these are people who we got to be careful. Yeah, I know, but we got, okay, so it's whistleblowers. So these are going to be, if it's a whistleblower, it's a government employee who is told to keep their mouths shut and not talk about stuff.
Correct.
Okay. So let's get across to Askapol's UAP. All right, we got an audio clip here. Remember, we encourage as a subscriber to Askapol's and as a media partner, we can bring you this content. But, Matt Laszlo, great individual. Mike, we may have to have some contests to give subscriptions to Askapol's from us. I'll have to figure out how to do that with Matt.
That's a very good idea, yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. Help the community at the same time, give some people in the community
and
some fun.
Support the work that Laszlo is doing.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get to this. Okay, so we've got 2 minute 46 audio clip coming from this. Who is there?
First 30 seconds is the intro.
I know that. Here we go.
Welcome to the Askapol UAP Changing Washington exclusive from your U.S. Capitol.
Here we go.
I thought we were going to be stuck on there forever because of you two.
No, we blamed it on you.
Yeah, we knew
fair.
Burns told me it was you that did it. It is always the press's fault.
And then stopped it, right?
Have you? There's been some questions raised about you since your interview with Mr. Ross Coulthard down in Australia. What do you know about the advanced drone program?
The advanced drone program.
Yeah.
Okay. Advanced drone program. Let's find out.
Not heard of it referred to in that category.
I know there's different fancy names for it, but that's Washington.
I don't know what.
Have you talked to any whistleblowers who've seen or claimed to see recovered drones?
I've talked to individuals who have seen materials that they were analyzing, but they did not know what it was from.
Have you asked to go see that yourself? Or not?
So it sounds like they've talked to people, Mike, who have materials from a recovered UAP that they're analyzing and working with that they're informing Senator Rounds about.
Exactly.
Okay. And he has not gone to look at it yet. Let's delve a deep more. Here we go. Delve a bit more deep.
Not believable, or
where would I go to ask?
You're a senator. You're going to do what you want.
But the question is who would have it? And a lot of us in years back, and a lot of it, I suspect, is part of stealth materials that have been developed by different organizations within the federal government.
Well, some folks, like Lockheed Martin, keeps coming up in talks that Lockheed Martin might have some of this technology.
Well,
okay. Rewind a little bit. So they're claiming materials we have from stuff that crashed back in the 40s and 50s, and some of the samples we have from that. They're like the materials from Hal Puthoff, right?
Right.
Like from the arts parts and other stuff where you've got it, where they're even trying to recreate this stuff at an atomic level, and they can't do it because as they try to recreate it, the sheets delaminate from each other. They can't make the stuff stick together.
Right. But what Senator Rounds, and for the audience, let's remind everybody, Senator Mike Rounds and Senator Chuck Schumer are the co-sponsors of the UAPDA.
Yes.
That they've been trying to get passed. So it's interesting that Laszlo is calling him out about what he knows.
Right.
And he did say that the word Lockheed has come up multiple times in conversations that he's had, and that at the same time, this is mostly about stealth material that they're developing, and he doesn't know exactly who to talk to. That's what he told Laszlo in that clip.
Yeah. Well, we're still got a bit to go here, so.
Yeah, but that's what he said so far.
Yeah, I know. That's why Rewind a little bit is just covering the points, because you're listening to something. It's always good to get the whole story and an agreement before you just listen to it, and we all kind of come back and try and, work off it. Here we go.
Correct.
Yeah.
That have been developed by different organizations within the federal government.
Well, some folks, like Lockheed Martin, keeps coming up in talks that Lockheed Martin might have some of this technology.
Well, they have stealth technology, just like some others do. But I just simply don't know. And people say, well, what about, UAPs and so forth? And I say, I don't know, but I would be foolish to say that they don't exist because I don't know.
Yeah.
Mind on the
Fair.
public radio station funding? Did anything change in the rescission bill with those?
Thanks for listening.
Okay, so it comes down to he's not going to say they don't exist because he hasn't seen anything that says it doesn't, but it leaves the door open, at least.
Well, it does, especially because he's still trying to get his legislation passed for a third time, which doesn't look likely at this point, but you and I have covered that repeatedly on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when Laszlo asked him, well, why don't you ask? He's like, well, who do I ask? There's so many different places within the government to ask. He doesn't know who to ask first. So then Laszlo brought up Lockheed, and he said, yeah, I've heard that name mentioned several times. But it isn't just Lockheed that's developing stealth technology or advanced drones for the government. We know there's Radiance Technologies, There is the DARPA, which is doing a lot of work that's advanced and ahead of time. So he's right about who do I talk to. There is no unified place to go to get these answers on the secret work the government is doing behind the scenes. And there are objects that are truly anomalous, not prosaic, not simply just stealth technology. Like and we had Ivan Hanel on the show.
Yeah.
And if you remember, he was talking about one of his clients who discovered advanced drone technology 22 years ago that he has been sitting on the entire time and trying to work with the government about it, and been shut down every step of the way, including by getting thrown under the bus by Tim Phillips, who said that he is not to be trusted, crazy, and not someone I would trust near my family, which is slanderous, which may have also been one of the contributing factors to him being fired the other day, because a sitting member of the government shouldn't be talking about American citizens like that.
Right, but if you had seen a reply to someone covering the story, Mike, Ivan Hanel, we know Ivan, came out and implied that he has an idea why he was terminated. I wonder if he had his hand in it. Wouldn't that be cool?
No, it was supposedly alleged that it wasn't for his outbursts that cost him his job. There are other reasons that are going to be coming out soon that would lead to why he was fired. And that came from Ivan.
Right.
Who put that out in a tweet last night.
Oh, yeah. I saw his initial tweet on it. I didn't see his follow-up.
No, there was no follow-up. That was the problem. There was no follow-up because he's not going to divulge what he secretly knows until the time is right.
Yeah.
So I reached out to him privately last night when he put that out there, and he told me that the information will come out. So we're going to have to be patient and wait.
Of course.
There's nothing else we can do until then. But yeah, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than most people realize. That's the problem.
Yeah.
We don't get access to everything that's currently going on. It's interesting because that means at this point, Tim Phillips lost his job. Mike Grounds is not getting direct answers. And the UAPDA is still up in the air. So at this point,
there was more legislation that's been coming out, little bits here and there that have been added and have changed the document. I think there was a report that came out earlier today with regards to that Dean Johnson on X covered. But before we get to that, this is something from the title card here today about where we've got Representative Robert Garcia. In a on-the-spot interview from Matt Laszlo, says that he's not sensing as much interest in UAPs from GOP oversight leadership. That would include the ranking member, who is James Comer, but he didn't say just oversight ranking leadership. He said Republican leadership, which mean that would be the leader of his committee that he's involved in, and possibly also, Mike, the Speaker of the House.
Yeah. That would be Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, and the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer.
Right.
And they are the ones, look, the task force that Representative Anna Paulina Luna is currently running doesn't have subpoena power.
No.
And subpoena power rests solely in the hands of James Comer.
Right. Now, Comer did come out and said for Anna Paulina's stuff from her declassifications national task force, the National Declassifications Task Force they put together.
Task force, yeah.
And secrets to go ahead and bring that out. That if any, the need for subpoenas, which you could have under a select committee, if they wanted to do any, that he backed her move and he would grant her whatever subpoenas she wanted. So I guess it does come down to, has Anna Paulina Luna requested those and she was denied? Or hasn't she? Or has she actually? submitted it. So it's
we covered on the show not that long ago that, believe it or not, Susan Goff had made a public statement stating that the Department of Defense was willing to temporarily read in the members of Congress in the task force on SAPs that was under the purview of the DOD, but the leadership in Congress, meaning Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, and James Comer, the chair of the House Oversight Committee, had said that those members on the task force did not have a need to know, and they were not going to sanction or approve the Department of Defense temporarily reading them in and giving them access. That's coming from Luna's boss on the House Oversight Committee, and that came out publicly. So Susan Goff threw the Republican leadership under the bus and made the public well aware of what's going on within Congress, and we covered that. So it's a complete shit show going on within Congress. Nobody seems to know what the hell they're doing. And at the same time, like you pointed out with Luna, she's not very organized. So that's why we still haven't gotten a UAP hearing that was originally, if you remember, scheduled for, it was supposed to be July 12th? No, May 12th. We were supposed to get that in May. And they canceled it.
Actually, it was initially hinted that it would be happening sooner. Remember the initial memo she put out with a return date of we want all these answers by February 18th, went out to the heads of the different departments within the executive branch requesting all information that they had on the subject, including UAPs. Right? Anything to do with it was supposed to be sent to that task force. They were going to review it and then declassify it to the American people. And it's been nothing more than empty promises.
Crickets. They got nothing.
Well, it's empty promises, Mike.
Promises not kept.
It's kind of like the NDAA that we go through every single time it comes around. There you get the hope up that, hey, we're going to get this. Hey, we're going to go ahead and change these things. And you get into it, and then they pull out the rug from underneath you. The old Lucy in the football, as we like to call it here a lot of times. And there's more changes coming in, but I guess what we don't have is truly a reading of the room from these committees on who's voting how. Because if that's what needs to be changed to get this stuff, it's not just about people calling their specific representatives. It's calling the representatives who are actually voting on this.
Right. That's right. And we covered the other day, I believe, that the reason that they postponed the upcoming UAP hearing until September is because they don't have any whistleblowers that are willing to testify.
Well, they've got one. They've got one at this point, at least.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know. But the reason for that being there aren't proper protections in place for anyone who steps forward publicly.
No, there aren't, are there?
No, sir, there are not. And they don't seem to be addressing that issue in Congress, do they? I wonder why. Maybe by accident,
intent?
Maybe on purpose.
Oh, I'd say intent. Look the other way. But since we are talking about people in Congress, I do have a bookmark here you sent me earlier today. Interesting infographic going along with it. This came in from earlier today, I believe. Let's take a look at 6 hours ago. Representative Eric Burleson is going to be seen in a paradigm-shifting has seen a paradigm-shifting UFO on a CE5 event held last week with the world's number one psionic asset, Michael Batista.
Mm-hmm.
The footage will be released in the next Greer documentary. Oh, say it isn't so.
Yep. Here we go again. The grifting will continue.
No,
it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Eric Burleson's going to be in some interviews and some questions. I think he's going to be in one with one of our friends from the show. That would be a good question. What did he see at this event? Or did he sign a non-disclosure that he can't discuss it?
I don't know, but all I have to tell you is that, in my opinion, it seems like the more that Burleson is out speaking publicly and the more outlandish claims that he's making without a shred of evidence to back any of it up, it's hurting his credibility, which would probably explain why we haven't heard anything from Anna Paulina Luna or even Tim Burchett, who have been very quiet lately. You and I have commented
Yeah,
on that
I've
as
been
well,
saying, where is Tim? Where is the man who calls everything it's a cover up?
Right.
He's
right.
vanished from the forefront. Now Eric has picked it up, but it would be interesting to understand what the logistics and why there's been a shift. But again, let's get back, and I do have this audio clip I did want to go ahead and play for this, Mike.
Yeah.
That kind of just touches on where Republican leadership is these days. Now, where is that browser? Let me bring that up again. I had it. It's around here somewhere. No. There it is. Got it. Let me go ahead and play this clip. Where is it at? Oh, here we go. Not that one, that one. All right, here we go. Let's play the clip. Coming to us from Ask a Poll as well. Here we go.
Welcome to the Ask a Poll UAP podcast.
All right.
Like, if you like us, that is. And now, here's our latest Ask a Poll exclusive from your U.S. Capitol.
Do you have any plans? You introduced UAPDA last year, right?
What part?
The UAPDA to the NDAA.
Oh, yeah. I heard we said the last
Any plan to offer that this year on NDAA?
Yeah, I mean, we're having some, I mean, look, I'll be a little bit more broad. I think that, like, we're not sensing a ton of as much interest in the UAP topic from some of, like, the Republican leadership as, like, there was. And so I think we're still having some conversations with our internal folks about how we're going to move forward.
Yeah.
But my interest level on the topic is not, like, diminished at all.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a discussion that we're having.
Have you even talked with Luna about it? It seems like she's been focused on JFK.
Yeah, I think she's aware that I'm still very much interested in the UAP topic. And so, and certainly something that certainly the majority, I'm very interested in. So I think there's a lot of work to still do there. So.
And Rounds and Schumer haven't said they're going to introduce their UAPDA. Do you think inserting that into the debate?
I have no idea what they're
Wait, was that just an election year ploy last year?
No. I just have no idea what they're going to do. I got to get back to the
Cheers. You got a day job. Good to see you. How's it going now? Thanks for listening to Ask a Poll.
Here we go, Mike. So there's not as much interest from the leadership, which would be the Republican leadership, the GOP, I would say, in their committee and above, which would be Mike Johnson. And now, based on this, they're going to go ahead and make their decision based on the guidance that they're receiving.
Right. You're correct. And it seems that there's no direct interest because the public is also losing interest on this topic. They've had enough. They're tired of hearing the same outlandish claims without a shred of evidence to back anything up. And it's just a grift to either sell a book or subscribe to the Greer cult or CE5 or any of that other things that are out there to reach into the public's pocket. And they're sick of it. And they have a good reason to be, because it's just hurting credibility across the board. And Burleson has really been taking a hit with credibility more and more lately. And I don't know why. He has what? No advisors, no staff, nobody to advise him when to keep his mouth shut.
Well, this is something
really
that he
stupid.
went and attended. He was invited to, and he attended. So,
yeah, okay. Well, he must have somebody that's assigned to him to prevent him from participating in any schmuck events.
yeah.
Doesn't seem like he does, though. That's the real problem.
Yeah, that's a harder approach on it. Laura, your hand is up, my dear lady.
Yes. Skywatcher is not the only person that is doing calling in events and giving them to Congress people. Chris Bledsoe, a few months ago, had an event where he called in some craft in front of scientists. This was filmed. The film was given to Luna. And I heard this directly from Chris Bledsoe. I think it's time to share that information. what she chooses to do with it. And if this ever reaches the public, we'll see.
It'd be nice if there was, yeah.
It's usually behind a paywall.
Well, not potentially. Is this footage that it's already, because I have seen some footage of some recent events that I think that Chris has called stuff in at different locations. Was it one of those events that's already out there in the public, or is this a special one?
This was a special one for the scientists.
Oh, wow. Were they all set up with equipment, Close Encounters of the Third Kind style?
I don't know.
Oh, that'd be cool if it was.
I'm sure that they were, impressed. I believe he mentioned a lot of women, female scientists in particular.
Wow.
Yep.
Very cool. Andy.
Well, we'll wait to see whatever comes out publicly, Thomas.
Oh, I know. Time will tell. Interesting things all abound, to say the least. Andy, your hand is up.
Yeah, Laura bringing up about Chris Bledsoe. I wonder if it's time for a poll. And who believes is the more reliable, Bledsoe or Jake Barber? I think I know which one I'm going to fight for, but yeah.
All right, I'll humor that. That is a very direct question, and I will do this as a poll. Is it BLEDSO?
Yes, SOE.
SOE. Got it. All right. Audience, Andy, we've got a poll going up right now. We've got it. Be interesting to see where this goes. Let me go ahead and get this up, bring it up, make it larger so everybody can see what the heck we're looking at. All right. So let me get to the sound effect board is the next thing I have to do.
You should put up a third option. Neither one of them.
Well, too late now. You get one or the other. Can I edit it? No, I can only, and I can just keep it going at this point. Let me go ahead and bring it up. All right. So where are we at? Where does our audience, and those people who are voting, we'll see, are going to go ahead and say, I stand more with Jake Barber, who's at 29%. And Chris Bledsoe, who is at 68%. And, let's 30 votes in or 25 votes in. Let's see if we can maybe get it to 50 in the next minute. Hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute, please.
Got it. 1 minute. And that's starting now.
Now, there we go. See where it goes. All right, we got 32 votes in, climbing up, but it looks like I don't think Jake Barber and Skywatcher is going to be able to win this one. Because if you think about, you look at Chris Bledsoe's video and what's coming out, it's a lot bigger, it's a lot closer, there's multiple things going on, and we've got some things coming from Skywatcher, but it's not as dramatic, I guess. Yeah. Oh. Where's that button? Over here. Uh-oh. I don't want to do that. I do want to do that. There we go. He kind of muted when he says, all right, so with just 11 seconds left, we've got it 40 votes in. Mike, I'm going to go ahead and call us at this point because Bledsoe said so, I guess is what we could probably say.
Well, that's because the public has gotten more directly out of Bledsoe than we've ever gotten from Skywatcher or Jake Barber.
Yeah, that is true.
Yep. Yeah,
but again, something you have to cover. I appreciate those who participated. 40 votes in, not bad. Andy, you asked for this survey. What say you?
Yeah, I must admit, out of a pair of them, I did vote Bledsoe. I have a hard time with, even harder time with Jake Barber, to be honest. I don't know why. I don't know if it's his ties to the military and things of that order. Nothing against our military serving friends, but yeah, that's where I went.
Excellent. Thank you much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Now, I think, Mike, wasn't there a? Oh, come cover that one later. Well, okay, before I get to it, there is a new video that's come out from Roni Vernay from the Guadalupe River. Put this out 4 hours ago over on X. And he's saying this is one of the most anomalous phenomena ever recorded on the banks of the Guadalupe River in Mato Grosso, Brazil. Filmed in 2 separate incidents, a blue translucent UAP leaves behind visible contours that briefly linger after it passes. So there they go. They're slowing it down a little bit like this, and there it is moving at the bottom. Got the one. So it's 2 different incidents, a similar light, and it's. I would say it's more than swamp gas, eh, Mike?
Oh yeah, Roni does good work over there in Brazil. We've had him on the show. He's a friend of ours.
Yep.
He does really interesting work in the Amazon jungle. Yeah, it's interesting.
Oh, there we go.
Very interesting.
All right, here he has some additional posts here. Showing color enhancement filter shows a phenomenon. Has darker contours going around the edge, so it's brighter in the center, and of course gets darker around the edge. The contours remain visible after the object passes. So after it goes past, Mike, it's leaving glowing stuff on the ground that fades out.
Yeah, I wonder what the hell that is.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
And these aren't con artists, King Bull. This is research stuff that's being recorded by very reputable people. Let's move on. In the first recorded incident, we confirm the phenomenon is translucent, the ground visible through it, and the darker contour remains. I'm not sure what the darker contour remains after they move. There's that energy that's left over from it. Very cool. There's another one that goes along with this, kind of showing the movement, I guess, from one side across to the other, potentially. Yeah, that's about it, Mike. But interesting pictures.
It is, and we know that Roni is very credible with the work that he does. So I don't know quite what to make out of this, but I do know it's interesting.
Oh yeah,
and we have to wait and see what develops as far as what he's able to determine.
Exactly.
Forward.
All right, let's move on to the next piece of my bookmarks.
In the meantime, hold on.
Yeah.
In the spirit of our policy on the show, we're serious about not being serious.
Yeah.
There is actually, not UAP related, but there is breaking news from my neck of the woods here in New York City that I just sent you a DM on, even with a short clip that I think we can play for the audience.
All right.
Give me the human aspect of life.
All right. Let's take a chance. All right. Let's get to it. Coming up. Give me a second. Opening it on a side window first so I can open up to that one. Okay. Oh my. only in New York, or is it only in New York City? This is like, you hear about the things going on in Florida all the time. This is clearly a new pride of New York. Let's move it on. Coming from Raw News Alerts. Breaking: a naked 40-year-old man has been arrested after he hijacked and stolen a dinghy boat as he went on a joyride high on meth. Oh, do we actually have video of the event going on?
We do,
the NYPD has arrested a 40-year-old male suspect following a bizarre incident at Manhattan Marina. Where is that at? Hold on.
That's New York City.
There we go. A man, according to officials, the man completely naked was taken into custody after hijacking and stealing a small dinghy and taking it on a joyride. staff had previously ejected him for acting erratically, but he returned shortly afterwards, stripped nude, and jumped into the sailboat before employees could intervene. The NYPD's aviation and harbor units launched a search and eventually apprehended the suspect. His identity, unlike his genitalia, has not been released. He was transported to the hospital for treatment and is believed to have been under the influence of meth. Don't do meth, kids.
No, not good for you.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Oh, yes. Goes to show you what goes on outside of disclosure.
Oh, it's like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens in New York stays in New York, maybe?
I've got to say, Thomas, that's a normal Saturday night here in Bristol, and no meth involved at all. Plenty of copious amounts of alcohol, but no meth.
Well, that's a good thing.
Oh, it is.
If he'd been in the UK, he'd have a traffic cone. If the same verbiage is used in your part of the world.
Exactly. In other news, Mike, we saw a story that we've talked about earlier this morning that the Senate Intelligence Committee bill for NDAA actually does contain some new whistleblower provisions.
One page, right.
For each. But it is a lot of text on there. While the IAA Act contains 15 pages dealing with protections for the intelligence community whistleblowers, a joint release issued on July 15th by the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, chaired by Senator Tom Cotton and ranking Democrat Mark Warner, said the provisions would enhance protection for congressional oversight of intelligence community whistleblowers. One provision would provide a whistleblower with a private cause of action, which is an ability to sue in certain circumstances.
Right.
Title VII of the bill, which is a classification reform and security clearances, may also be of interest to some readers. Now, the bill contains only one provision explicitly referring to identified anomalous phenomena, which is found on page 76. It would tidy up some provisions enacted in 2022 and consider this proposed change to be of little practical consequence. The exact same revision appears in Section 1561 of the NDAA, recently approved by the Senate Armed Services Committee. So they're just sounds like, Mike, they're doubling down.
Potentially.
Yeah. So
we'll see.
Yeah, in most but not all years, the entire Intelligence Authorization Act ends up being incorporated into the NDAA, and it seems likely, but not certain, it's going to happen again this year. It's always two parts of the document people need to remember. It's the NDAA and the IAA, but apparently it is submitted under one package. The House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence has not yet produced its version of the Intelligence Authorization Act full fiscal year 26. Now, neither the House of Congress has not yet scheduled for action for either side for the NDAA or the IAA. That usually has to come up for general debate, and that's where in the past that people like Senator Rounds and Chuck Schumer have gotten the NDAA included in to the document. The complete text is available, so it sounds like, Mike, things are moving on, but it's not just for UFO whistleblowers. It's really for all. It's as far as what's new, it's for all whistleblowers.
Yeah, just people that want to step forward on any subject, not just UAP.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But it is something that relates to the UAP matters, so it's something we definitely have to bring up and cover.
Absolutely. But it's all been very slow going. Now, there's another story that's out there that you and I were talking about before the show.
Yeah.
That I sent you. If you want, we can segue into that and discuss it.
Yeah. Let's see. Actually, what I want to find is this is the one you're talking about with what you put out last night with regards to what do you call it? Well, why don't you lead the intro into it, Mike? I was going to try and find the original article and bring that up as well, in addition to your tweets, so we have some context on it.
Actually, that would be very good. You want me to send it to you again?
If you have the original link, that'll be helpful, because I've got your tweet that you put out about it.
Okay. No, I don't have
There,
the
and some people
original
will
article with the link.
I can find it. Give me
But
one
I
second.
do have the information, and
Yep.
yeah, we were talking about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So you go ahead. You jump into it, and I'll find the document.
Okay, that's fine. There is from an Italian news article from El Espresso.
There we go. I found it.
You found it? All right, good.
Let me bring it up. Here we go. El Espresso, the original Italian news article. We've got it up, yes. But you did a translation on this, so take us through where you're at.
Yeah. Project Preserve Destiny is a UAP program allegedly so secret it has 6 levels of classification. Is being moved out of Pentagon oversight and directly under the White House. Per a stunning report from Italy, published by El Espresso, a major and well-established Italian magazine, generally respected in journalistic circles. The piece begins with, "There's more on Donald Trump's agenda than tariffs. Behind the scenes in Washington, something concrete is already underway. It's called Project Preserve Destiny, and it's much more than a simple study program of so-called UAPs. Behind this evocative and unsettling name lies an institutional dance that could reshape the balance between the Pentagon and the White House. This SAP, which is formerly operated by the Department of Defense, will no longer go through the Pentagon. They will report directly to the Oval Office. This choice did not come lightly. It followed weeks of highly secret meetings, closed-door briefings, and tensions between military leaders and advisors close to the president. Because Project Preserve Destiny isn't just any program. It has 6 levels of secrecy, levels that would make any conspiracy thriller pale in comparison. Secrecy ranges from public level, where they tell you fairy tales, as the source says sarcastically, to nested programs within programs. Compartments so sealed, they remain inaccessible even to the sitting president. The shift to the White House is said to allow direct control over the information flow, and potentially, in time, deciding what is to be revealed and what is to be kept private. This move partially responds to increased public interest. Recent congressional reports fueled more questions than answers, reinforcing the idea that something is being hidden. Trump himself is reportedly interested in leveraging UFOs to appear as the president who finally tells Americans the truth. It wouldn't be the first time a president entertained the idea of a monumental disclosure, but experts warn the documents at stake now would be unprecedented in scope if declassified to the public. But in Washington's corridors, some see it as a political play. Trump can also decide to keep this hidden from the public, like he is doing with the drones over New Jersey information. He can then use the UAP information as leverage to threaten to come out and disclose the truth to the public unless he gets what he wants. It's a political power play against the deep state that Trump intends to control. The Pentagon officially declined comment. Leaks say top officials are nervous. Transferring control of such sensitive programs to the White House exposes them to greater risks of leaks. The line between transparency and propaganda is razor thin. FOIA confirmation. Air Force FOIA researcher Noah Haddock submitted a FOIA in July 2023 asking about Project Preserve Destiny. Initially denied, but eventually the Air Force referred it to the NSA, stating The program falls under the purview of the NSA. This letter is in final response to your 27th of July, 2023 FOIA request. After a careful review, determined the information falls under the purview of the NSA. Therefore, our office has referred your request to the NSA. Then, a follow-up FOIA to the NSA, dated November 12, 2024, elicited a reply stating they will neither confirm nor deny its existence, citing Executive Order 13526, classification, meaning the program is real and it's heavily classified. So what we have from an Italian article that came out is that there is, in fact, a SAP program that is looking to be moved from the Department of Defense in the control of President Trump and the White House. Now, we covered earlier in the show about how Garry Nolan was saying that the White House was reaching out to him with death threats, telling him to be quiet about this. Information like this only backs up and confirms what Garry was claiming, because it shows that the White House is looking to take control over this subject and information and make sure that Trump is the only one who could decide what comes out publicly or not. And obviously, if he does or doesn't, it's part of his agenda. So this article is something that came out, and it was originally in Italian, but I did the translation and put out this story about it today.
Now, what was the one piece that all the translations had missed that you saw out there, Mike?
The part that I just covered about the FOIA requests that confirmed that this program exists.
Bingo.
Is not under the purview of the Air Force, but in fact, the Air Force directed the researcher to the NSA, who then cited it was heavily classified and they could neither confirm nor deny its existence.
So Air Force says, not our stuff. Ask them. That's their domain. You ask them and are like, we're going to confirm nor deny, and I'll go away. Interesting.
Right. Yeah.
Now, Michael Sokoloff have his hand up. Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, the concern that there would be more leaks if this is transferred over to the White House, I think is very valid, because the White House is like a strainer.
Yep.
Well, there's the White House, but there's also the executive branch that exists and is maintained from administration to administration. So we have to think of something when they're calling the White House. There's other stuff there in the executive branch. It's really the executive branch, and there's other stuff in the executive branch that is more than meets the eye, right, Mike?
Well, some departments are like strainers.
I don't even know these kids, and they got me all wet.
Yeah, no, Michael is right. We know that all forms of the government can leak like a sieve with information out to the public. And they want to keep a tight lid on any of this getting out.
Right.
Obviously. Yeah, it's interesting.
Hey, they even warned phone calls to Garry Nolan to tell him to quiet down. Don't talk about that. You're getting too close.
And threatening death threats if he does. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't want this to come out, Thomas.
No.
Obviously. We're not supposed to know.
God, it's so different now than it was in 2021.
Oh, my God. It's like a different world almost.
Yeah.
I know.
All
2019 with the UAP task force. And then we had in 2023, David Grush coming forward publicly under oath.
Yeah.
I miss those days. We're nowhere near it. So what is it you and I have talked about privately? It's like they were able to put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah, that's what they were saying back in 2021 or something, after the stuff that come out for the initial UAP hearing. And at that time, they had said that the Air Force was trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube, and the deep state, for that matter, at that point is when we started calling it more than just the Air Force. But everyone said they were looking at where we were going with disclosure. Like, there's no way in hell they're going to be able to shove this back in the tube. And son of a bitch, they're good. Because they have.
They really are. You got to give them, they give the devil its due. And you got to say Sean Kirkpatrick, Susan Goff, they've all managed to
Just keep on
convince
talking
the
about them.
public-
I'll be right back. Continue.
Yeah, they managed to convince the public that there's nothing to see here and they need to go about their lives, which from then to now, over the past 2 years, that seems to be the effect. And it's the reason they wanted the public not to get behind this is because they're not going to be ringing up congressmen asking for answers. The public is going to lose interest in this. And we just heard Robert Garcia mentioning to Matt Laszlo that there is no interest or support coming from the Republican Party on disclosure. So at this point, it's dying slowly on the vine, which is disappointing to say the least. It's really a shame that we're at this point right now where nothing is moving forward. We're not getting any of what we've been looking for information. And everyone seems to be losing interest in that. So it's just something that no one expected to be the case 2 years ago when we had those explosive comments coming out of David Grush.
No, Mike, I know we're in an area of gloom and doom, but wait, there's more. I mean, you just look at where, oh God, where are we at? We're just talking about this freaking earlier today, and I just had it in my mind of where we're going to go on this. And there's a situation where, continue on with your conversation. My mind just blanked. Not enough Adderall.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, it seems that they were successful in being able to prevent people from being able to look for the answers and push forward.
Right, but it comes down to where disclosure is right now too, Mike, and how we're going to move forward. We always thought, well, we have the government in our way from getting us the information on what's going on. But now you've got the additional layer that's funded by the VC, where they're figuring out how to make this stuff, or at least how to attract non-human intelligence and trying to monetize it to where any of the information that's coming out from these VC-funded operations like Skywatcher, the information isn't going to come for free. It's a commodity, isn't it?
It is. And I have to be honest. You and I have talked privately about this, but I'll share it with the audience. It isn't just the government. It isn't just the VC or the private contractors. It's people like the aforementioned David Grush, because as you and I are well aware, not only did he come out publicly and testify and provide explosive details of what the government is covering up, he got a DOPSA clearance to do that. He then went and got a second DOPSA clearance for his op-ed that he was supposed to release publicly.
Oh, but there's a lot of things that have been promised. Where's the information coming out from the SCU? We're supposed to have a year and a half ago about that mile-long, mile-wide UFO that was recorded by multiple commercial air pilots. There's a lot of promises of things that were made that just, for some reason, don't make it.
Have evaporated into thin air. And we haven't been able to get one shred of proof or any of the claims that have been put out all these years, that people are at the edge of their seats waiting for that proof, and then we get nothing but smoke.
Yeah.
Which is why everyone's losing interest with this. And the only thing that they seem to get in this community is people out there like Dr. Stephen Greer putting a hand in their pocket and trying to grift money.
Yeah.
It's just...
But this is going on a scientific standpoint where they're bringing in, employing people, trying to find stuff and discovered stuff, and all that research and development that's going on is all funded by a for-profit organization. That this isn't going to be stuff that humanity's just going to get. It's going to be something that's going to be available to humanity at a cost.
Right. And at least we still have people like Dr. Garry Nolan that we covered at the top of the show, who is not going to be challenged by threats, isn't worried about reaching into someone's pocket for money, and he's going to bring whatever information that he has out publicly.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember that Garry talked about the study that the CIA asked him to do on 100 people who were affected that they wanted him to test and examine. And he discovered that there were anomalies and
right. So majority of the people, they were all damaged by adversarial human technology. But let's say, was it 10% or give or take, a small percentage of those people had a consistent yet completely different type of problem that wasn't a result of human technology. He believes it was a result of interaction with a non-human intelligence where parts of it just really affected parts of some people's brains really negatively. It's like getting too close into an electric field and you're cooking yourself from the inside out.
But because the information of the individuals that he examined was so heavily classified, he never gave the public a breakdown of the actual numbers. And he was also investigating Havana syndrome of government employees that were affected by that, if you remember.
Yep.
He finally, in the Dr. Jordan Peterson interview, he gave the exact numbers. And what it came out with is that out of the group of 100 that he examined and tested, only 5 were directly affected by UEP. 5. The rest were all Havana syndrome.
So 5%.
No, 5. Yeah, 5%. Correct.
There were 100 people. Was it 100 people or 50 people?
100 people.
100 people, so 5%.
5%, right.
But it's not 1%, it's not 0.5%, it was 5%.
It was 5%.
And he had people all over the place. It's not like they were all in a cluster at one particular location.
No, they weren't. And it even goes over a vast period of time, because one of them was, of the 5, was Burroughs from the Rendlesham Forest incident. It took decades for the government to finally acknowledge that he was injured in the line of duty when he was at Rendlesham. And it took John McCain to arrange for him to get proper medical aid. That was one of the 5 that Garry Nolan was going over the results for.
Yep.
So, yeah, those are the actual numbers. And I think Gary's going to get in trouble again for releasing that. But
well, remember, he had to stop talking about the brain scans and the changes they were observing in the Claude Puterman. That's gone completely silent. You just got to wonder why.
He also went to explain for Dr. Peterson what the Havana syndrome turns out to be. It is a directed microwave energy weapon.
Yeah, it literally cooks the brain.
Pinpointed and cook the brain from the inside. Yeah. He said that technology is pretty commonplace.
Yeah.
But at the time that this had occurred, back I think 2015, it was relatively unknown, at least publicly. But now he's saying it's, believe it or not, it's prosaic. Even though we're talking about still something, in my opinion, is out of science fiction.
Yeah.
Where you could cook someone's brain from a distance.
Yeah, but I bring him up a lot because I admire him for what he's done and the kind of stuff that he brings out. There's a book that was written, let's just get the picture, I guess we're going to go with it, written by Colonel John Alexander.
Right.
It's called Future War, Non-Lethal Weapons in the 21st Century, right? But this came after John Alexander worked at Los Alamos National Labs, I believe it was, and developed all of this different non-lethal weaponry for crowd dispersal and noises and microwaves and other stuff that were being directed at crowds in different ways to go ahead and get them to disperse. We've got that stuff now. They also had stuff where you could spray down foam or whatever it would be, and you could have you can have a freaking one of our best tanks coming up to it, and it gets in the foam, and the foam foams up and completely encapsulates it and seals off all the occupants in the inside who are going to suffocate. So they've got some really interesting, it's not completely lethal technology. In some cases it is, but this also directs at a platform that could be modified for something that would not be lethal, but able to happen remotely. You know what I mean, Mike? It's like, how do you take this stuff that's not lethal, and they had to do stuff to make it not lethal? So crank it up a little bit, and now you've got a platform that's literally a directed energy weapon.
Right. That was being used against our own people, our government employees, diplomatic staff. This was occurring, these attacks in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And it wasn't us doing it to our own people. It was a foreign adversary that was utilizing this type of
But it was a
technology.
different embassies around the world. It just wasn't in Washington, D.C. It was different. Yeah, it was a global phenomenon.
A lot of the main attacks that had occurred in Washington, D.C.
Right.
What does that tell you about how secure our capital is, or the people that work there for our own government? It's a bad sign for how the government is not as secure as you would hope it to be. And the work that Garry Nolan has been doing shows us that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not only are they covering up the UAP topic, but they're also covering up their own ineptitude and how we're at the mercy of any foreign adversary out there that wants to come and do us harm here at home. So that is frightening. And the technology that we're talking about is still something for the average person right out of a science fiction movie.
Yeah.
But Garry classifies it now as prosaic, believe it or not.
Well, it also gets into some of the stuff that we're talking about. It's that, I just wanted to go down this route of we're talking about it saying it's another layer of obfuscation to keep the truth away from people, because now it's not just a national secret. Now it's a proprietary technology.
But
confidential.
You know what? I agree with what Lou has put out there publicly when he said that the American public has a right to know and we can handle the truth. I believe that to be true, even with something like this, with what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Should get the truth. I mean, we're paying for it. This is coming out of our pockets to develop technology like this, be it prosaic or otherwise. It's our money. So we absolutely have a right. And I know that if the truth were to come out, we can handle it.
Yeah.
So
it is what it is. Why live a lie?
Yep.
Simple enough.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think, let me turn this down a little bit here, Mike. I have to say, great show today, my friend.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We covered some really good stuff today.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Let's keep our fingers crossed something happens for Monday.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll dig more into some more document differences and things that are coming up, little bits and pieces that are coming out of the Senate right now as they try to wrangle with the National Defense Authorization Act and Intelligence Authorization Act and see what's going on in the House. There's been a lot of comments made by Burleson this week and Garcia, right, who brought it up and said, hey, I want to help get us the UAPDA. And the other one's saying, well, it's not really supported by our Republican leadership. So maybe we can get some answers on that. I would hope so.
Well, yeah, we absolutely hope so. And if there is any answers on that, we'll cover it.
You better believe it, my friend.
Wait and see.
Absolutely. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for your super chats today. Mr. Grimlock, Wes B, thank you very much to offer some perspective on what it is I believe is what is going on. Yeah, we'll talk more about that next show. Brennan England, thank you very much. Steve Hines, and of course, Anonymous Rex starting off the super chats today. Thank everybody for all your love and support of everything we do here at Disclosure tonight. All right, Wes B. Excellent job. May I call in at some point to offer some perspective on what it was I believe? Of course, Wes. That's why we have viewer call-in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a place for a bunch of people like to hang out in the back of the stage, but you've got the seat right here along with Mike and I to go ahead and the people in the back to talk about whichever. That's why we have literally viewer call-in. I guess maybe we need to just remind people at the start of every show that we have this here.
Yeah, it's on the top of the chat in the front.
Yeah, but either way, he responded, and yes, Wes, stop by. It'd be fun.
Yep.
Guarantee one way or the other. All right, Mike, and what a great show and opportunity to hang out here on Disclosure tonight. Appreciate you coming out today, my friend.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I really enjoyed the conversation with you and the audience. And thank you as well for managing to get us through this one more time.
Exactly, my friend. I appreciate it so much. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure Tonight, is that it? The right one? No, that's the wrong one. All right. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everybody. No, not that.
Go back to Party City where you belong.
There we go. Good night, everybody. Love ya. And thank you, Liz W., for that super chat. And we'll catch y'all soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.